The Middle East conflict is widening, with Saudi Arabia intercepting ballistic missiles fired from Yemen, while tensions between Iran and the United States remain at a critical point. Here's the latest. Saudi air defenses are reported to have intercepted 2 ballistic missiles launched from Yemen, which were targeting oil refineries in the kingdom. The development marks another escalation as the conflict spreads across the Middle East. The Iranian-backed Houthi movement in Yemen says it carried out the attacks in retaliation for Saudi airstrikes on the Yemeni port city of Hodeidah. Meanwhile, in the direct confrontation between Iran and the United States, no new strikes were reported overnight for the first time in 2 weeks. However, tensions remain high as President Donald Trump is reportedly considering a major escalation of the conflict. To discuss Iran's current position, we are joined by Mohammad Eslami, co-author of The Second Europe, speaking to us from Tehran. He shares his assessment of how Iran is responding to the rapidly evolving situation.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I think that what the Americans are trying to speak with the Americans with the guns, it means that the Iranian doesn't have any other option but to answer them with the guns. Right now, the situation in the Middle East and the situation around the Persian Gulf is very fragile. It's very, the escalation is more than complicated because there's not that much hope regarding the diplomatic settlements. We had a kind of memorandum of understanding between Iran and the United States, but Donald Trump, when he attended the NATO summit in Ankara, he said that the MOU is over, he said that the ceasefire is over. So right now, the situation in Strait of Hormuz and also the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait is very, very critical. We should wait how the situation will continue, but I think that we should wait for more escalation between Iran and the United States.
What's the feeling in Tehran, across the country there, about this conflict? Because Iran is in a dire economic situation, and there's a lot of frustration in the country about the huge amount of money that the regime spends on its military efforts.
You know, when we want to speak about the economic situation of Iran, the situation is very hard because the Iranian people are under severe sanctions policies for more than 2 decades, the most severe sanctions policies on any country in the history of the humankind. So the situation is hard. But if I want to talk honestly, some reports about the free fall of the Iranian economy is not correct because what you're witnessing is the resilience of the Iranian economy. Iranian economy is not a kind of centralized economy. It is decentralized around the country. And you know that when we are talking about the feelings of the Iranian ordinary people, the Americans have killed more than thousands of Iranians during the 2 rounds of wars on the Iranians. So right now, there is a question about the future of the possible negotiations between Iran and the United States. The Iranians are supporting the negotiation, and at the same time, they want the government to protect them from the American strikes.
Let me ask you one final thing. The President Trump, said again last night that Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Is Iran ultimately ever going to agree to that?
Iranians doesn't want any kind of nuclear weapons in the past 2 decades. It's a lie that the Iranians are pursuing a kind of nuclear weapons.
But it hasn't reached